Yeah, this is the Devops mock interview day 56. We have completed 55 mock interviews. Whoever watching this video on YouTube, you can check out the playlist section. There you can find Devops interview question and answers in the playlist. You can find all mock interviews. So thank you all for participating for today's mock interview. So whoever watching this video on YouTube, please like this video so that we will get an motivation to continue like this. So yeah, hi Sunil, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, sir. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to introduce myself. I'm Sunil Shikalwadi, a Devops engineer with overall 6 years of experience in the industry, and my expertise spans several critical areas of modern software development and operations. I'm a proficient in version control using Git and have a hands-on experience with a continuous integration through a Jenkins. In terms of configuration management, I utilize Ansible. My skills are also include containerization with a Docker and Kubernetes. For monitoring and logging, I rely on a Grafana to ensure a system performance and reliability. Additionally, I leverage the infrastructure as a code tool such as Terraform to automate manage infrastructure development effectively. This is my
Yeah, Sunil, like you started with good flow and but by coming to ending, right? It was not good. Still you need to improve. That's the one I want to tell. Okay, and there is confidence is missing. The like alignment you are getting stuck in between. Okay, so if you are not conducting mock, that doesn't mean that you should not practice. You need to be ready for every situation.
okay.
Okay, yeah, Rani, can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you for having me. Currently, I'm working as a cloud and DevOps engineer. I have total 3 years of experience in this domain. I have proficient knowledge and experience of different DevOps tools and technologies. I have used Git and GitHub as a version control system and Jenkins as a CI/CD tool to streamline the software development process. Additionally, I use SonarQube and Trevi to provide security to the pipeline and to check the code quality. And I have also used Docker to containerize applications and Kubernetes to manage and scaling those containers. Additionally, I have also leveraged the cloud technology services such as EC2, VPC, Lambda function, RDS. For monitoring and logging, I use Prometheus and Grafana. Uh, and I also have used Terraform to automate the creation of infrastructure provisioning. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Okay, okay, yeah, everything is perfect, but little bit lag. That's it, not more than that. Okay,
Yeah.
shall we start the mock? What is an EBS volume? So how does it differ from instance store volume? There are two types of volumes in AWS, right? One is a EBS volume, which is elastic block storage. Another one was instance store volume, which is by default you will get a for your EC2 instance. Whenever you create a EC2 instance, you will get a volume, right? You can create your own volume as well. So what is the difference between this EBS volume and the instance store volume?
EVS, we use EVS volume for the persistent data. Uh, that the life cycle of EVS volume is not attached to the life cycle of the EC2 instances. If our EC2 like get crashed or we terminated, we can still use the EVS volume and attach to the other EC2.
No, I'm asking you what is an EBS volume and how does it differ from instance store volume? Difference between the EBS volume and the instance store volume.
So the main difference between this volume is uh, the life cycle of EVS is not depends on the life cycle of EC2 instance.
Super.
And um, instance store is comes with the EC2 itself. We cannot attach or detach it to the EC2.
Okay, how do you create, next question, how do you create an AMI, nothing but Amazon machine image, from an EC2 instance which is already running? And why would you do this? How you will create an Amazon
Um,
machine image, nothing but AMI from a running EC2 instance? And what is the purpose of doing that? Okay, how do you create an AMI from EC2 instance? And why would you do this?
Yes, sir. Basically, AMA means Amazon Machine Image, and if you, unfortunately, if you want a Ubuntu or a Linux machines means, we have to stop the present working instances like image. So after that, we can take the backup from present AMI. So we need to attach to the other AMI.
I didn't get what you said. I have asked you how you will create an AMI machine image from a EC2 instance and why you will create that. What is the reason behind creating it? But you are telling how to create an EC2 instance. Anyone want to try?
uh, if EC2 is running state, we need to stop to take the AMI image of that EC2. Then we can take uh, AMI images of that EC2 by choosing the option take to create AMI of that EC2.
Okay, why you will create that?
So it will it will persist the current configuration of the machine,
Super.
including operating system and its configurations.
Yes, and if, for suppose if you want to get the same setup of same server, another one. So for suppose if there are some softwares are installed, so you no need to install it again. If you take a snap, right? If you create a AMI out of it, and you can treat this as a backup as well. If something happens to that server, I have already a same copy of AMI. Using that AMI, I will create one more, right?
Yes.
Okay. Next question. What is EC2 Hibernate? When would you use it? What is an EC2 Hibernate? When would you use it? Next question.
Yes.
How do you configure EC2 auto recovery? And what are its benefits? EC2 auto
Please
recovery.
come again.
How do you configure EC2 auto recovery? And what are its benefits? EC2 auto recovery. How do you configure EC2 auto recovery? And what are its benefits?
You can use auto heal feature of auto scaling group maybe.
What is Amazon EC2 fleet? How does it differ from an auto scaling group? What is an Amazon EC2 fleet and how does it differ from an auto scaling group?
Yeah, it is using from a load balancer.
So yeah, like still, Anisette, you are in the same path. You are just giving one word answer and you are just kept
Yeah,
idle,
I mean,
which opposite person will not able to understand what you want to tell. So anyone watching this video on YouTube, right? Please like this video. And if you are looking for a real-time training, definitely you can join my live classes. Normally we conduct DevOps training daily morning 7 to 8 a.m. Indian time, IST, Indian Standard Time. So definitely, if you are from India or from other countries, definitely you can enroll. Just ping me on WhatsApp. You can able to see my mobile number, right? So if you are not able to
Fast,
see,
I'm not sure about that. Am I
definitely,
audible?
yeah, definitely you can ping me on WhatsApp or right. Yeah, Rani, go ahead. Okay, I will move to next question. How do you enable and use detailed monitoring for an EC2 instance? How do you enable and use detailed monitoring for an EC2 instance? So am I audible, right, Sunil?
Yes,
Yes,
yes, you audible.
now it's audible.
Okay. How do you enable and use detailed monitoring for from an EC2 instance? You cannot able to hear before that Anisati, right? Right? I can you can able to hear, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, Rani, there is a problem from your side, I think, before 2 minutes back. How do you enable and use detailed monitoring from an EC2 instance? Sorry, for an EC2 instance.
Yeah, but we
Yes,
using from AWS and CloudWatch. So we see on that loggings and information and everything.
Okay, Rani, you want to add something?
yes, we can enable CloudWatch monitoring mm, while creating the EC2. From that, we can monitor by going to the CloudWatch. Also, we can create their different kind of alarm and dashboards for that EC2 to monitor and logging purpose.
Okay, can you able to explain me the concept of EC2 placement groups and what are the types? EC2 placement groups and their types. Okay, next question. How do you attach an existing EBS volume to a running EC2 instance? How do you attach an existing EBS volume to a running EC2 instance? Okay, I will go to next question. What are the benefits of using EFS, nothing but Elastic File System, with an EC2 instance? Not a EBS volume, but Elastic File System, which is a EFS, with an EC2 instance. Why to use that? What are the benefits?
EFS is a storage system that enable us to use that file system um, at a time. Many people can use that file system.
It's a shared volume. Okay, EBS is a
Mm,
you can
Yes.
able to attach only for one EC2 instance, nothing but single. But EFS is a shared. Okay, what is EC2 spot fleet? How does it optimize costs? EC2 spot fleet. How does it optimize costs?
Yeah. So spot instances
Spot
or fleet
fleet.
is a spot fleet is the instances provided by the AWS, which is unused compute services that provided by AWS in the up to 80% discounts. But the limitation is it can be short. You cannot depend on the long term on that instances. It will take away uh, by AWS anytime by short notice.
Okay, next question. How do you perform a blue-green deployment using EC2 instances and Elastic Load Balancer? How do you perform a blue-green deployment using EC2 instances and Elastic Load Balancer?
Mm, So we can create. infrastructure using one elastic load balancer behind which there is a two EC2 instances we can use as a deployment environment, and we can uh, we can keep running one EC2 for our end user access, and one EC2 we can keep as a standby. If there is a new version coming up, we can route traffic to the one EC2, and uh, and that update the new version in the standby EC2.
Right, you
When
are right.
update is done, when update is done, then we can route to the next EC2, and then the process we can repeat.
Yeah,
So we can use one elastic balancer and then change the route to the different EC2.
Okay. City, you want to add something?
yeah, it is an add to two environments. I mean, it's blue is current and green is new. Blue is to existing production environment, and green is a new update application on code running on separate EC2 instance.
Okay.
And
Next.
and load balancer are using elastic load balancer in the new traffic to add the green instances the load balancer target group to traffic it.
Rani, did you understood what like Aniseti said?
Not fully. Sentence formation is it?
Yeah. So the form, like whatever you was telling, right, Aniseti, there is no sentence formation. So you are just reading something. That's it. And that reading also is not in order. Am I right, Rani?
Yes, he puzzled between sentences.
Yeah. Okay. Explain the process of creating custom VPC and launching an EC2 instance within it. Nothing but I am telling you to create a your own VPC and create an EC2 instance in that VPC. How you will do that and what is the process? Explain the process of creating a custom VPC.
Hmm. So we can go to the VPC services. There we can choose create VPC, and then we have the options to create to choose a CIDR block, and then we need to create different subnets. We can mm, create choose different subnets range uh, within chosen CIDR block, and then we also can create a security group. We can also attach this security group if we have, or we can create a new security group. After that, after creating a VPC, uh, we can launch EC2 in that VPC. While creating a VPC, we can create this particular VPC. In this way, the EC2 will launch in that particular VPC.
Okay. What is the difference between EC2 Classic and EC2 VPC? Difference between the EC2 Classic and EC2 VPC. Okay. How do you configure EC2 instances to scale automatically based on demand? How do you configure EC2 instances to scale automatically based on demand?
So we can use auto scaling group service of AWS
Super,
to
right.
auto scale um, based on different whether traffic demand or the CPU utilization or memory. That that way we can auto scale EC2.
Okay,
horizontally or vertically.
do you know what is the difference between reserve instances and a saving plan? Reserved instances and a saving plan.
Reserve instances is a way to reserve configuration. No, in that if you choose a reserve instances, separate host will provide to you by AWS that will not shared by other EC2 instances. And reserve plan is provided by AWS to 1 year plan or 3 year plan to save. If you commit 3 year or 1 year, AWS will provide a discount over there.
Anyone want to try reserved instances and saving plan, difference between them? Okay. Reserve nothing but like for suppose if I want an EC2 instance for 3 years, what I will do, I will purchase an EC2 instance and I will pay for 3 years advance. Okay. And saving plan also same, but there is some difference that will I will show in few minutes. But the difference is you will get to know. Okay, next question. How do you monitor and troubleshoot performance issues on EC2 instance? How do you monitor and troubleshoot performance issues on EC2 instances? Okay, next question. What is the purpose of IAM roles in EC2? How do you assign one to an EC2 instance? So normally what is the purpose of IAM role? That too for EC2, and how do you assign a IAM role for an instance? In real-time projects I have already shown you this, how to attach a IAM role. What, right? There also there is a purpose behind that we have used. So now tell me what is an IAM role, right? What is the purpose of IAM role in EC2 and how do you assign?
IAM role is used to give permissions to the identity like EC2 services or any identity so that they can assume that role, and there we can provide a different, while creating roles there we can provide or attach different policies, and in that policies we can define the permissions for that role. If we attach that particular role to any services, they assume that permissions.
Okay, next question. How do you backup and restore an EC2 instance?
We can take a snapshot to um, backup, and after that we can create instances from that snapshot.
Yeah. What are the difference between vertical and horizontal scaling in EC2?
So basically, horizontal scaling is adding of more EC2 instances, and vertical scaling is adding more power, compute power to the a particular EC2 instances, such as we can add more CPU or RAM to the particular EC2. That way we can scale uh, EC2.
How do you configure an ad gateway and what is its purpose? How do you configure an ad gateway and what is its purpose?
NAT gateway is used to provide internet connectivity to the private subnet. EC2 instance inside the private subnet can connect to the internet. via NAT gateway. We can connect NAT gateway to the private subnet inside our VPC.
Inside a
Yeah, that's all.
VPC. Okay.
We can connect NAT gateway in private subnet to the private subnet.
Where you will create a NAT gateway?
We can create a NAT gateway from AWS. There is an option NAT gateways.
No, no. Where you will create in subnet or in VPC?
That I'm a bit confused about that. No.
Okay. Shall we check the answers?
VPC only.
No, you are wrong.
Subnets.
So you will work on subnet. Okay, how you will create a in VPC? So what is an EBS volume? How does it differ from an instance store volume? So EBS nothing but elastic block store instance store volume. It is a temporary storage that is physically attached to a host running an EC2 instance. Data is lost if the instance is stopped or terminated. Typically used for temporary data. Okay, this is the persistent block storage that can be attached to an EC2 instance. Data is preserved even after the instance is stopped or terminated. Supports features like snapshots, encryption, and resizing. Okay, how do you create an AMI from an EC2 instance and why would you do this? Stop the instance and it is an optional but recommended to ensure data integrity. So create image, go to EC2 console, select the instance and click actions, image, create image. So then click on configure image, provide a name, description and select the volumes to include. Then click the create image. Okay. So why to create an image? To create a backup of an instance. I told you right, to create a golden image for launching multiple instances with the same configuration for disaster recovery and migration purpose. Next question, what is an EC2 hibernate? When would you use it? EC2 hibernate allows you to pause and resume your EC2 instance. If you are using Windows 7, right, operating system in your laptop, there is a hibernate option. If you choose hibernate and if you go somewhere and if you come back again, your application will be start processing at the same time. So you can nothing but you will pause, allows you to pause and resume your instances by saving the instance state right to the root EBS volume. When the instance is restarted, it returns to the previous state. So if you know the Windows hibernate, same application that take long time to initialize. If I shut down this system, okay, if I start open the Visual Studio Code again, it will take some time to load. So in order to save that time, loading time and all, I can hibernate my system and I go so that my Visual Studio Code will not be closed and it will be opened. Whenever I back right, it will not load again. How do you configure EC2 auto recovery and what are its benefits? So you need to go to CloudWatch console, create an alarm based on instance health metrics. Okay, and choose the alarm action, recover this instance as an alarm. So that is the auto recovery. So whenever something happens, it will recover the instance. So automatically requires instances that fail due to hardware issues. Minimize downtime by automatically launching a new instance with the same configuration. Ensures high availability and reliable of applications. So what is Amazon EC2 Fleet and how does it differ from an auto scaling group? Right? Amazon EC2 Fleet allows you to launch and manage a fleet of EC2 instances across different instance types, availability zones, and purchase options. So optimize cost for by blending spot and on-demand instances. Nothing but combination of both on-demand, reserved, and spot instances. That is a EC2 fleet. Normally in the EC2 you have multiple types of instances, right? Reserved instances, on-demand, spot. If you combine three together, it is a fleet. So depending upon your requirement, you can choose a combination of both. Auto scaling group manages a group of EC2 instances within a single instance type and purchase options. Automatically adjust the number of instances based on demand. Okay, if you create an auto scaling group, depending on the demand, you can take that type of instances. Okay, cache data is mandatory? No, right? You can use spot instances on the cache. So cache will be temporary. You will store just stored. So I can able to create some instances on spot instances so that I can reduce the amount as well. Okay, cache is not a required data. Okay, without that data I cannot able to serve log, not like that. I'm just telling some example. Okay, don't imagine that I will going to create only spot for that particular purpose, and don't tell in the interview that for cache data we can choose spot. Okay, I just told you the example, that's it. It doesn't mean that you need to create a cache and spot. Depending upon the requirement and depending upon the situation, the requirement might change, the demand might change. Okay, some companies require cache, which is very important, like for suppose Amazon maintain the cache because it will load the page immediately. Okay, for some applications cache is mandatory, some applications cache is just a requirement. Okay, EC2 Fleet provides you more flexible and cost optimization by combining multiple purchase option and instance type, whereas auto scaling group are more focused on scaling within a specific instance type and purchase option. How do you enable and use detailed monitoring in EC2 instance? Go to EC2 console, select the instance, click actions, monitor and troubleshoot, manage detailed monitoring, enable detailed monitoring. So we use detailed monitoring, like you can use detailed monitoring to use CPU, disk, and network in CloudWatch. Within 1 minute you will get create CloudWatch alarm based on detailed metrics and monitor EC2 instance. So explain the concept of EC2 placement group and their types. So there is a cluster placement group, spread placement group, partition placement group. Okay, what is a cluster placement group? Packs instance close together in a single availability zone for low latency network performance, right? For high performance compute. So nothing but cluster is nothing but only you will get single availability zone, but you will be having a low latency as well. So placement like spread, what is the meaning of spread? Spread together, distributes instance across distinct hardware to reduce collateral failures, ideal for application requires high availability. So partition placement group divides instances into logical segments called partitions on the distinct hardware, ideal for large distributed and replicated workloads like Hadoop. How do you attach an existing EBS volume to a running EC2 instance? Right, how you will attach a EBS volume? Navigate to Elastic Block Store. First go to EC2 console, navigate to Elastic Block Store, volumes, select the volume you want to attach, select actions, attach volume, right? Select the instance device name and click on attach. Then after connect the instance via SSH, use lsblk command to verify the volume was added or not. So create a file system using mkfs and mount the volume. So what are the benefits of using EFS and with EC2 instances? So scalability, right? Automatically you can scale up and down as files are added or removed. It is an high available, provides multi available availability zone availability, and it is a shared storage, and Elastic pay only the storage used without pre-provisioning. So what is EC2 Spot Fleet and how does it optimize cost? So EC2 Spot Fleet allows you to request a combination of on-demand and spot instances to meet a specific target. So use spot instances to lower cost, which manages the baselines of on-demand instances, automatically replaces interrupt spot instances to maintain target capacity, Nothing but combination. You split fleet nothing but depending upon your usage, you will split that type of, like for suppose if you want on demand for the particular purpose, you only create on demand for that. If you want a spot, you can create nothing but combination of both. It is a fleet. How do you perform blue green deployment? Okay, you need to create two environment, deploy the current version, deploy the newer version. You know about it. You already told me the same. You will create a elastic load balancer. You will route the traffic. So next question, explain the process of creating custom VPC and launching an EC2 instance. So first you will go and create a VPC. Okay, then now you will create a subnets where you will create public and private subnet. You will create a route table. Okay, you will create an internet gateway and you will attach that internet gateway to your VPC. You will create a route tables. One is public and private route table. You will create a security group. Then you will launch an EC2 instance. Like that you will create. And you will select the custom VPC and subnet while creating an EC2 instance, and you will assign the security group which you have created. What is the difference between EC2 Classic and EC2 VPC? EC2 Classic instance run in a single flat network shared with other customers. Instance have public IP address directly assigned. So instance can run on private VPC, allowing more control over network settings, provides features like subnets, routable internet gateway, net gateway, better security and isolation. So differences: EC2 VPC provides better isolation and security. EC2 VPC offers more networking configuration options. EC2 Classic has been deprecated and new instance must be launched in a VPC. Normally, before that, right, there is no VPC. There is no VPC concept at all in AWS cloud. Okay, then after customers was expecting a security for their whatever the servers they are creating. Then after the VPC concept was get into the picture. Previously, they used to run directly. They used to create a right on the physical server, a server, normal server. Okay, there is no protection and all. Then after AWS implemented a virtual private cloud. Nothing but in the public cloud itself, you will create a one virtual private, right, virtually private network. How do you configure EC2 instances to scale automatically based on demand? So create a launch configuration, create a auto scaling group, right? Configure the scaling policies, set up a CloudWatch alarm. So depending upon the triggers, it will scale up and scale down. What is the difference between reserve instances and saving plan? So reserve instances, you for 1 to 3 years you can able to take and you will just provide a payment. Saving plan provides flexible pricing models offering savings on compute usage across EC2, Lambda and Fargate. Spend per hour over 1 to 3 years, not tied to a specific instance type or region, right? Saving plan is nothing but here you will take one EC2 instance for 3 years and it is T2 medium. If you take T2 medium for 3 years, you will use T2 medium itself. For saving plan, it doesn't matter. You can use T2 medium, you can use T2 large, you can use T2 micro. Okay, that's the difference. In saving plan, there is no tied to a specific instance type. You can take any instance type, but it is little bit huge. Okay, amount. Differences: saving plans are more flexible than reserve instances, which are tied to specific instance attributes. Saving plans apply more to more services beyond EC2. Not only EC2, it will apply for multiple services. That's the meaning. How do you monitor and troubleshoot performance issues on EC2 instances? So you need to use CloudWatch metrics, enable detailed monitoring. You need to check the logs. You need to analyze the traffic flow. Right? You need to use AWS Systems Manager, uh, that type of tools to monitor. What is the purpose of an IAM roles in EC2? And how do you assign one to an EC2 instance? So what is the purpose of IAM role? If you want to access some other services, right, AWS services securely, you can use IAM roles. So to create an IAM role, go to IAM console, create a role, select EC2 service. You can attach the necessary policies. Okay, then go to EC2 instance, click on actions, security, modify IAM role. Then select an IAM role which you want to attach. So how do you backup and restore the EC2 instance? You will create an AMI or create a EBS snapshot. So then after you will create the same EC2 instance from the AMI. What is the difference between vertical and horizontal scaling? Vertical nothing but you will increase the resources, nothing but CPU and RAM, increase the capacity of the single instance. Horizontal, increase the capacity of more instances. Nothing but you will create instances 1, 2, 3, 4. Vertical, only one instance will be there. You will add RAM, CPU. You will increase the RAM and CPUs. In horizontal, you will not increase the RAMs and CPU. You will directly create one more EC2 instance with some CPU and RAM. How do you configure an NAT gateway and what is its purpose? Allows instances in a private subnet to access the internet while preventing the internet from initiating connection. So go to VPC console, create an NAT gateway, assign it to a public subnet and associate an elastic API. So in the public subnet only you will get an internet. So you will create a NAT in the public subnet itself. From public subnet you will log in into the private subnet. So where you will create in the public. So go to root table, set the root table, add root. Okay, like this you can able to do. So that's what we have discussed for today. I will now stop the recording.